to tapping in part 3 today. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope you are all well and had a good long weekend here in WA. Oh, hang on one second. It's quite cold today, so I hope you're all warm and you're ready for today's webinar. Today we are going to be going over the Australian population and the graphs and findings around disability and impairment. So welcome everybody, grab yourself a cup of coffee, something to eat, pen and paper, and we can get started. So first up, let's just do an acknowledgement of country. 30-foot drop acknowledges the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and recognises their continuing connection to land, waters and the community. We pay our respects to the Indigenous people, their cultures and beliefs, and to the elders both past and present. Now 30-foot drop funding. 30-foot drop would like to acknowledge the Department of Communities, Disability Services for funding this and many other initiatives. Without their help, so many projects such as Two Wise Monkeys wouldn't see the light of day, and we'd be much more poorer for it as a community. So we thank them for this funding. This workshop is part of a Realities and Advantages of an Access and Inclusion grant awarded to 30-foot drop as part of an Information, Linkages and Capacity Building grant for 2018 and 2019. Let's go through some housekeeping on how we run these workshops. Unfortunately, we do not have all the resources to monitor all of the platforms live. So if you are watching from YouTube or Facebook, you won't be able to send me a direct message. But if you want to send me a direct message along the way or at the end with our open forum, jump onto that link below, which is www.30footdrop.com.au/live. Jump on there and you go into the live box on the website and you can send a live chat message through that. We'll be covering a lot of information in a short period of time, so we ask all attendees to try and minimise any distractions to get the most out of these workshops. Please make sure as well that 30-foot drop is tagged in all of your shares and posts that you may talk about to do with us, because the more people that we can reach with our information, the better we're going to be as a community and we're going to be able to move forward. We also record every live session, so if you wanted to go back on anything that you might have missed, you can go back once I've hit the end button. And everything that we speak about in the workshops, there's more information available on our website to do with everything we talk about. So the population, the stats, the research, missing out report, which is what we're going over today. There's all the findings and researches and links on there to find out more information. Lots and lots of information, important information to read. And as well, if you know anyone that might benefit from these webinars, please share our information with them. You can register with each webinar so you get reminded on when the webinars are coming up, or you can just jump on either of the platforms, Facebook, YouTube, our website, or Facebook, YouTube, website. I think that's all actually. Those 3 platforms, you can jump on any of those and watch our live webinars. At the end of each webinar, we do have a survey that we'd really, really love if all attendees could fill those out. It's only a few questions to fill out. Jump on that link below. That'll take you to our webpage. Look for the survey part 3 and fill out the questions. That would be awesome. Thank you. Okay, so now let me introduce myself. I am Lisa and I am one of the Two Wise Monkeys. I am Hear No Evil. And the other monkey is Ben. He is See No Evil. He is the brains behind these projects, and through him we hope that you will see no evil about impairment. But through me today, I hope that you will hear no evil about impairment. My story is definitely a lot different to Ben's, and it's more hidden. So I was born 10 weeks premature, and with premature births, you can have complications. Um, I did really well being born that early, didn't have to go on oxygen and stuff like that. But later in life, we found out that I had dyslexia. So, these all come with varying different forms, and you can be from mild to severe. Mine was luckily not too severe. But going to school was made hard, and especially because I was a girl, it just wasn't as common back 30 something years ago for a girl to have it, and people didn't really understand much about it back then. So I was tested and all of that. And at school, teachers used to hit me on the head, read out my low marks in front of my classmates, and just make me feel completely dumb and unworthy. And that was something that was really hard. I hated school mostly because of the way the teachers treated me, and I don't know, the stigma around it, that you have to be this and you have to be that, you have to be a perfect speller, you have to be a perfect mathematician. And it doesn't matter. When I reached high school, I was doing art, and the teacher stopped and held up my artwork in front of the whole class and said, this is amazing. This is how everyone should be drawing and seeing it. So obviously I had other passions and other things I was good at. But unfortunately I didn't find that out until I was older. So all the damage, I guess, that was done when I was younger was still there, and it probably still is. But you've got to find your own passion. And everyone has their own passion and something that they're going to be good at. And I was lucky to find mine, and that's where it took me. I've got a diploma in the arts field. I've got certificate in picture framing, where I frame museum grade and fine artworks. I've worked all around the world in art galleries and museums. I organised exhibitions, done the marketing, what else? Catering, everything, organised everything to do with exhibitions, and also framing the artist's artwork. So, don't let something like a learning disability or dyslexia or something like that bring you down. It really only makes you stronger and more determined, I would hope. And, it doesn't matter if you're not amazing at maths and spelling. It doesn't matter if you're not got those top marks to get into university. There is something that you will be able to do that you are good at. So please have faith in yourself. And if you do struggle from this, then there is help out there. It just takes extra time and dedication. I ended up doing good at school, passing school, but I had to work harder than everyone else that I knew, unless there was anyone else in my class that had a learning disability. I had to work harder, and unfortunately that's just how it is for people like us. But don't give up, because you can get there and you can make a difference. Right, so that is me. And when we look at the monkeys, isn't there supposed to be 3 monkeys? We've got see no evil, hear no evil. Who speak no evil? I ask you guys today, who speak no evil is? Take a guess. It's you guys. The aim of today's workshop is to turn you into that wise monkey. You'll begin on a journey of realizing, impairment or not, we are all human and deserve to be acknowledged and treated in the same way as anyone else. And we do have these wonderful, wonderful t-shirts available now of the Speak No Evil. If you did want to grab one of those, they are available on our website through the shop. They range from size 5 kid size to 5XL adult, and they are $15 to $25 depending on the size, and available in black and white, as you can see behind me. So that's the monkeys. So you are going to become that Speak No Evil. So how are we going to get you started on the path of a wise monkey? Well, there's a lot to learn about people with impairment and their potential impact on your business. Sorry, I'm just getting a bit, I can't see. The potential impact on your business. We're going to examine the size of the market segment and what people with impairment represent, explaining who they are and their potential customer base. Then we will examine the potential impacts that they can have on your business, both positive and negative. After covering all of this good stuff, we'll finish off with an open forum where people can ask questions and I can talk about them. So how are we going to cover this? What will our teaching method be? The answer is fun and open and honest discussion. Feel free along the way to ask any questions that you like, or feel free to wait till the end. If we can't be open and honest about these topics, then things aren't going to change. People will continue to be treated without respect or fairly. We need to make these changes together and be open and honest about them so that then it can become the norm, that you treat everyone fairly. You treat everyone with an impairment or disability the same as you would treat anyone else. And it's crazy that it is still like this in now day and age, that people are being treated differently. You'll notice that there's very little written content on the slides. That is because we're all here to interact with each other and to make it easy for everyone to follow along, even people with a hearing impairment, vision impairment, learning disability. It makes it easy to follow along. There's no complex information and you're constantly having to keep up with the writing written on the screen. So it's nice and easy. And if you do have a hearing impairment and you are watching today, and you do want subtitles, please jump over to the platform Facebook. Look us up, 30 Foot Drop on Facebook. Turn the sound down and then you will have subtitles. So that's an amazing thing that Facebook have done. It's only a new thing, and let's hope that a lot of other platforms follow suit. Now, I'm going to go over terminology and review. These 4 words here: disability, impairment, access versus inclusion. A lot of people get these mixed up and think that they are the same thing, but in fact they are quite different. Let's first talk about impairment. An impairment is an injury, illness, or congenital condition that causes or is likely to cause a loss or difference of psychological or physiological function. In short, your impairment is your medical diagnosis. So my medical diagnosis at the age of 8 was dyslexia. A disability, on the other hand, is the loss or limitation of opportunities to take part in society on an equal level to others due to social and environmental barriers. It is, as the word implies, something that makes you unable to access or participate in something. So someone with a learning disability like me, too much wording, complex information, and sometimes stylized script can make it hard for people with a learning disability or dyslexia to understand, which then makes it hard for us to get the right information that we may need to use your business. This is especially important to remember because some people's impairments are hidden. So you're sitting here thinking, oh, I haven't thought about that before. You could potentially be losing these customers from your business because your marketing or your approach is too complicated. So something to think about. Please make it easy to understand for every single human being. Just like our website and like the webinar that I'm doing now. It's so easy to follow. There's no reason for it to be complicated. It's the colors work well. You've not got things going around everywhere where it's confusing or trying to keep up. It's easy to follow, and that's what every single marketing website and platforms need to be like. So hopefully that makes sense, the first 2 terminologies of disability versus impairment. Next, I will talk about access versus inclusion. And this one is definitely often referred to as the same thing, but it's quite different. Access refers to the removal or reduction of barriers, physical and attitudinal, to participate in activities and functions of a community. At its core, access focuses a lot on the physical world around us and can be easily assessed with a checklist. So say you own a cafe and you're thinking now, oh, I haven't done a accessibility checklist for our cafe. If you want to do that, head over to our website, 30 Foot Drop website, the link below, and in our resources, all of our resources are there, we have an accessibility checklist. So jump in there, go through that checklist, go and check, are your door frames wide enough for someone in a wheelchair to get through? Are your door handles at a good level for someone with short stature, in a wheelchair, many other disabilities? Is the door handle accessible? If it's a round door handle, then that is something that is not accessible to everyone. People with limited mobility in their hands, or have really bad arthritis, things like that, they can't turn the door handle. So, or even if it's a heavy door, someone in a wheelchair with limited mobility isn't going to be able to get through that door. So think about these small things that can be changed. And a thing to replace that round door handle is a lever door handle, which we go over in other workshops. But you can look at that checklist and it will show you what the criteria is for someone with a disability or impairment to be able to come and use your business. So head over and get that checklist. Now, inclusion is more of a psychological state of being, is the process whereby every person, irrespective of their age, disability, gender, sexual preference, or nationality, who wishes to, can participate fully in all aspects of an activity or service in the same way as every other member in the community. Inclusion is making sure that everyone can take part, no matter how they look, their sexual preference, or their nationality, all of those things. Your business needs to be inclusive to every single human being. There is no reason why someone with a disability should be told that they have to go through the kitchen to get to the restaurant, or they have to sit in a certain area in the restaurant because they can't physically get to the other part, which may have water views. There's all these little things that need to be thought about. That is discrimination, telling someone where they have to sit. They're paying the same amount of money to come to your restaurant, but oh no, sorry, you have to sit over that end because you can't physically get to that other side. Little things like that to think about, and making sure your business is inclusive. Okay, next step. And if there's any questions, please head over to the link below this and send me any questions. Okay, recognizing your target market. Okay, here is a business idea. Ignore the potential market. That's what many sports and athletic related businesses did until they realized in the mid-1990s that they had been passing on a gold mine. Women. Yes, half the population that some thought should just be playing with Barbie dolls and prams. Well, the 1990s was a turning point as the NBC's 1996 Summer Olympic Games coverage, which targeted women and sports much more than previously, and many more female-orientated sports advertisements, apparel and equipment lines emerged. So imagine that. Women would actually be interested in doing the same things as other people, such as sports. Well, could many other businesses, maybe you guys, once again be ignoring or missing out on this potential market? Consider, for example, a population that has clear, persistent needs that are not being adequately fulfilled. This population spans the world and is growing and includes very motivated customers. And since this population is being underserved and misunderstood, many businesses are missing out. And those customers that are there would be very grateful and loyal to your business if you could meet their needs. This is a population that has an estimated disposable income Australia-wide of 54 million and growing. Huge. Also consider margins are always tight, and that finding a new and neglected population can help boost your business. So, what is this population? Let's get into it. How big of a market share do you think people with impairment represent? Let's have a look at some numbers. This is the Australian, 100% of Australian population. Ben assures me there's 100 people there, but feel free to count if you like. Okay, let's get into the calculations. There are approximately 5% of the Australian population living with a severe or profound impairment. These are people who require assistance or have difficulty moving with a mobility. Difficulty with mobility, communication, or self-care. Okay, so that's 5%. Add to this 5% another 4%. So add the 5%, the 4% of this population who are the unpaid primary carers of the people with an impairment. You now have a minimum of 9%. So that 4% are the primary carers of that 5% of the population with a disability or impairment. So now we have 9% needing that access and inclusion and many other things. So this 9% are potentially missing out on your product or service. Now that's a fair share, and it doesn't even include the family and friends who accompany this 9%. So it's a lot of people that could be potentially missing out on your business. Recognizing the market. You may ask yourself, if it is such a big market share, then surely aren't they already being served? Aren't there items, services and events such as the Paralympic Games every 4 years for those with disabilities? Yes, there are those. But that's a bit like saying to women who wanted to play sport in the 1970s, yeah, but don't you have hopscotch? While some businesses do seem to understand the market of people with disabilities and impairment, many do not, and that is why we are here today. Okay, let's get into some research. Deloitte and the Australian Human Rights Commission released a report in February 2017 called the Missing Out Report. Definitely get on over to our resource library on our webpage and read the Missing Out Report. It's really sad, it's really confronting, but it is so important to read to understand everything that we speak about. Okay, so that was in February 2017. They did this report, the Missing Out Report. The business case for customer diversity. And in it, they represent their research findings about the missed opportunities that occur when businesses do not extend the values of fairness, equality, and respect to diverse customer bases. This research covered the diversity areas of gender equality, marriage equality, people with impairment, age, cultural diversity, and practices of a noticeable faith. It is definitely well worth reading, and like I said, can be found in our research library. The findings will shock you. Now, let's head into some graphs of the findings. Graph 1. As a customer, more people with impairment are finding that places often do not provide the products and services that they need. So that's 35% of people with an impairment or disability that are not getting the products and services that they need. And 27% are people who don't have an impairment but also feel that they're not getting what they need. So that's pretty high when you add that up. Graph 2. As a customer, over a quarter of people with an impairment usually have a fear of rejection or embarrassment when interacting with businesses. That is a lot of scared customers. And do scared customers spend well? Ask yourself. Somehow I don't think so. Okay, graph 3. As a customer over the last 12 months, I was often treated less favourably than other customers based on certain characteristics that I have. So that's 1 in 3 people with a disability or impairment treated this way by a company because of their disability. And that is just shocking. 38%. No wonder there's so much depression and not wanting to leave home around people with disability impairment, because look how they're being treated. It's crazy and it's not fair and it needs to change. Graph 4. This one shocked us the most. Getting discriminated against by one or more organisation. This is crazy. It's almost 30% of people that feel like they are being discriminated against by a company or business. And once again, you're not going to spend money in these types of businesses if you're being discriminated against. So these stats show that there is definitely a market that are not having their needs met and totally being treated unfairly. Next, let's have a look at who this market is and who are behind the stats. Who are the market? It's everyone. We are all the same. People with impairment are just people, just like all of us. We have passions, loves, and families. We purchase consumer goods like food, clothing, cars. We go to the movies, we go out for dinner, we go on holidays, we have hobbies, but for some reason, why are people with disability and impairment treated different? In short, people with impairment are active contributors to the community and the economy. As a result, we represent a market share to businesses and organisations. Because we are a market share, we are also able to impact your organisation, and how we do that is up to you. Oh. Potential impacts. Let's now have a look at the potential impacts. Only minority and ethical consumerism. Let's go over only minority. When it comes to minorities, people can often say it's only a minority, there isn't enough of them to make a difference. As discussed earlier, we can safely say it is 9% of the population. What research has found is that people with impairment and disability are a decisive and influential minority. Let's have a closer look at the results and go over some more of the missing out report and some of the stats. Graph 1. Over the past 12 months, I have ceased a transaction because I felt I was treated unfairly. As we all know, purchasing power is in the hands of customers, and when we don't get what we want through terms of product or service, we will cease a transaction. So that 29% of people with a disability or impairment ceasing their transaction because they are not being treated fairly. In the missing out report, they examine this closely and add other factors such as respect and fairness. Graph 2. As a customer in the last 12 months, I ceased completion of a transaction because I felt I was not treated with respect. The results in this report show that 1 in 5 customers without an impairment will cease a transaction. This jumps to 1 in 3 for people with impairment or disability when they are not treated with fairness and respect, showing that a negative experience is more likely to drive a customer with an impairment or disability away, which is shocking. Graph 3. More than just walking away from a sale, people with impairment or disability are twice as likely than the rest of the population to dissuade others from using your business, product, or service. Now, this one's interesting. Twice as likely. Basically, if your company is not treating people with respect who have disability or impairment, then your business is already being affected. That's 1 in 3, and people with disability and impairment are not really wanting to put up with that, so they're telling everyone, and that could be affecting your business. Graph 4. As a customer in the last 12 months, my buying choices were negatively influenced by an organisation's reputation as supportive of gender and marriage equality, people with impairments, older people, and cultural diversity. So, I have been asked in the past if supporting diversity in businesses can have an adverse effect. Can it drive the current customers away? The Missing Out report found that on this, 12% of people were negatively affected by business diversity reputations, but 58% were positively affected, and the other 30% weren't too worried about it. So yeah, you may lose that 12%, but look at that 58%. You'd much rather make people happy and be happy within yourself that you have made your organisation and your diversity reputation really, really positive. You've impacted the community by making good choices and being a good human. So, it's only 12% you're losing. 58%, I'd much rather go with that. So this result is not impairment specific, but it includes minorities that can be quite diverse. So that's marriage equality, people with impairment, and older people. But still, you still know you're making the right decision because look at the graph. Now, key findings. Let's go over the key findings of what we've just spoken about. To finish off this section, I want to read to you the relevant key findings. Customers with an impairment are 3 times more likely to avoid an organisation and twice as likely to dissuade others from using your organisation because of its negative diversity reputation. There is a good chance that if your business isn't accessible or inclusive, then you're already being impacted. We have covered the possible negative effects, but let's now have a look at some of the positive effects. Now, that is ethical consumerism. Ethical consumerism isn't just a positive for financial impacts, but it's also a positive movement for a better future for everyone. What is ethical consumerism? Went too far there. What is ethical consumerism? Ethical consumerism is a form of political activism based on ideas that purchasers in the markets consume not only goods but also implicitly embrace the process used to produce them by choosing certain products over others or whether to choose them at all. Consumers can embrace or reject particular environmental and labour practices and make other valuable claims based on the ethical values that they hold. Exercising choice in this way creates incentives for producers to make production practices which conform with consumer values. Successful campaigns waged by ethical consumerism movements have popularised dolphin-free tuna, foods that are free from GMOs, sweatshop-free clothing, fair trade coffee, cosmetic products free from animal testing, and conflict-free diamonds. Once that movement keeps going, it's going to stay like that. And it's definitely the ethical consumerism to do with products and services are definitely changing. There's lots of cosmetical products which are free from animal testing and free from all sorts of other yucky things, and more people and companies are jumping on the bandwagon with that. But now it's our chance to make it about disability impairment and have everyone jump on that bandwagon, and for it to all just be normal and everyone treated the same. So, applying to impairment is the next positive that we will talk about, and then that's it after that. Very fast webinar today. So, how can ethical consumerism be connected to people with impairment? Who here has heard of the Quiet Hour, which has been piloted by Coles and Woolworths? For those that haven't, let me explain. Some impairments make people hyper aware of their surroundings, making activities such as going to the supermarket very challenging and overwhelming. At Coles and Woolworths, every Tuesday between 10:30 and 11:30, store lighting is dimmed by 50%. Radios are switched off, register scanners and volumes are turned to the lowest level. Trolley collections are stopped, roll cages are removed from the shop floor, PA announcements are stopped except in case of an emergency, free fruit is offered, and extra team members are there to help customers. This is an amazing initiative and makes a great difference to many people across Australia. It has also increased the ethical reputation of both Coles and Woolworths. If you search the internet, you'll see that it's been published all over Australia. And now, what do you think? How do you think it's affected customers? Its reputation is positive and customers are happy. So, not all the Coles and Woolworths supermarkets have this running. So, if you were wanting to go when it's like that on a Tuesday, please research which supermarket has them. And I know with the COVID going round, they did it again with the elderly. They opened the shop hours, I don't know, was it 7 in the morning till 8, which I kind of think it was a bit early. The elderly and disabled and impairment, people with disability impairment, they opened the shops early in the morning for these people so that they could get the products that they need first before the blooming bull rush of people come through. But, that was another good move from them. I feel that time was a bit too early for someone with a disability or impairment or the elderly. But I guess it was a bit hard to juggle that with products and stuff like that. They wanted to make sure that they did get the first choice, which is great. But it's just little things like that supermarkets, cafes, shops, other businesses can do to help people with disability and impairment feel included and just looked after a bit more. These elderly people were just getting pushed to the side, and everyone saw it on the news. It was just horrendous the way that people with disability and impairment and elderly were treated when all they wanted was the basic things for their cupboard. And I'm glad that we realised and we stopped that, and after that a lot of positives were seen, like giving if there's one bag of flour left on the shelf and say there's an elderly person there or someone with a disability, instead of me taking it, give it to them. Just showing kindness, showing respect and fairness to every single human. Think about whether you actually need that product. That other person may need it more than you. And it's these little things that I'm hoping will change for the future, especially for our kids. And, I don't want my kids to grow up thinking that they deserve it all and they should be first and all of that. Everyone's got to learn fairness and respect. And it starts at an early age, and we need to start teaching our children this so that all of the stigma and the discrimination doesn't exist around other human beings. So that is part 3 for today, and I hope that you enjoyed it and it all made sense. If you do have any questions though, we're going to head over to the open forum and people can ask questions. If you do have to go, please jump on that link below this video and fill out the survey, tapping in part 3. I'm running the workshop again tonight from home if you wanted to join me then, or if anyone else may be interested. Right, so now I'm going to hit the open forum button. So please, if you have any questions, hit the question button, go to the link, or if you have to go, just please fill out the survey before you go and send your friends over, send people over, get them onto the webinars. We've now, because they've been so popular, we've now extended them till the end of August. It was the end of June, but now it's the end of August. So fear not, you're not going to miss out, and other people that you want to get along to come and watch, they're not going to miss out. It's only going to benefit your business a lot more by watching all of these webinars. You'll be surprised at what you will find out. Okay, enough talking from me today. I will head over to the open forum and people can ask questions. I will see the rest of you tomorrow for webinar part 4, or tonight if you are wanting to watch it again. Please share the information. Okay, I will see the rest of you soon. Welcome back, everyone. There's no questions today, so I will let you go and enjoy some lunch. Please let anyone that you know that may be interested in doing these webinars, please let them know that they can register. We're doing it until the end of August now, so there's still time. I will be back tonight though to redo this for people that have missed out, or if you wanted to do it again. Thank you very much for joining me today. Stay safe and well, everyone, and I will see you all tonight. See you later.